Most Americans think baking soda is just baking soda.
Simple. Pure.
A white powder that's been in every kitchen since forever. Something you use for cookies, cleaning, deodorizing your fridge, brushing your teeth. But that box sitting in your pantry right now? There's a good chance it's not as pure as you've been led to believe. What you're actually scooping into your recipes could be a mix of industrial processing residues, heavy metal contamination, chemical impurities, and manufacturing byproducts that have no business being in a product marketed as pure.
And the worst part?
Most of it is perfectly legal in the United States. I spent weeks analyzing manufacturing processes, third-party lab testing results, sourcing practices, and quality control standards behind the most popular baking soda brands sold in American grocery stores. What I found changes how you look at that innocent-looking box forever. Some of the biggest names in the US aren't just cutting corners. They're selling products made from industrial-grade sodium bicarbonate processed in facilities that prioritize volume over purity. Products that contain trace heavy metals, environmental contaminants, and processing residues that accumulate in your body over time. One of the brands on this list has been the subject of independent lab testing that detected concerning levels of lead. Another markets itself as pure, while sourcing from industrial chemical plants that produce multiple industrial chemicals in the same facilities.
And the worst offender?
It's the most common baking soda in America, found in nearly every household, used by parents for everything from baking to homemade toothpaste for their kids. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down 8 baking soda brands sold in the United States that you should avoid, explaining exactly what's inside them, how they're manufactured, and why the industry doesn't want you paying attention to purity standards. But I'm not leaving you with fear. By the end of this video, you'll also know 3 brands sold in the US that actually prioritize purity, with transparent sourcing, rigorous testing, and none of the industrial shortcuts used by the rest of the industry. If you buy baking soda at American supermarkets. If you bake for your family. If you've ever assumed pure means pure. You need to see this. Because once you understand what's really inside most baking soda boxes, you don't unknow it. Let's start with the first brand that dominates nearly every grocery store aisle in America.
Brands to avoid. Arm & Hammer.
That iconic yellow and red box feels harmless. It's been in American homes for over 150 years. Arm & Hammer isn't just a baking soda brand, it's an institution. And that's exactly why it works. Arm & Hammer baking soda is marketed as pure, natural, and America's #1 trusted brand. The packaging shows happy families, fresh cookies, clean homes. That wording is doing a lot of work. Because when you look past the front of the box, the reality changes fast. Let's start with the manufacturing. Arm & Hammer baking soda is produced through the Solvay process, an industrial chemical manufacturing method that creates sodium bicarbonate as a byproduct of ammonia and carbon dioxide reactions. This isn't mining from ancient mineral deposits. This is chemical synthesis in large-scale industrial facilities. The Solvay process, while efficient for mass production, introduces potential contamination risks that natural sourcing methods avoid. Industrial-grade sodium bicarbonate can contain trace impurities from the manufacturing process, including heavy metals like lead and arsenic that accumulate in the final product. Independent consumer watchdog testing in 2023 found detectable levels of lead in Arm & Hammer baking soda, a product that millions of families reach for every single week without a second thought. Lead is a neurotoxin that accumulates in the body over time, particularly dangerous for children whose developing brains are most vulnerable.
But it gets worse.
Arm & Hammer also produces industrial-grade sodium bicarbonate for non-food applications in the same facilities, products for pollution control, pharmaceutical manufacturing, and chemical processing. While food-grade production lines are theoretically separate, the prioritization of volume over purity creates an environment where cross-contamination and quality control shortcuts become inevitable. The company also aggressively markets their baking soda for medical uses, brushing teeth, treating heartburn, personal hygiene, applications where purity matters most. Yet their product is chemically synthesized rather than naturally sourced, with minimal third-party testing for heavy metals or contaminants. Parents use this for homemade toothpaste for their children. People on blood pressure medication or managing kidney function use it for health remedies. They're sharing more than recipes. They're exposing themselves to industrial chemical residues dressed up as a household staple. This is why Arm & Hammer can sell baking soda so cheaply. They've industrialized the process, prioritized market dominance over purity, and relied on 150 years of brand trust to keep consumers from asking questions. If you've been using this for everything from baking to brushing your teeth, thinking you're using something pure and natural, you're not.
And the next brand?
It takes the same industrial approach but adds another layer of deception, misleading labeling that makes you think you're getting something better. Clabber Girl Baking Soda. Clabber Girl. The name sounds wholesome, traditional, almost nostalgic. Associated with the famous Clabber Girl baking powder that's been in American kitchens since 1850. The packaging emphasizes heritage, trust, and American tradition. But Clabber Girl baking soda is hiding behind that reputation in ways most consumers never realize. Like Arm & Hammer, Clabber Girl sources their baking soda from industrial chemical manufacturing processes rather than natural mineral deposits. The company doesn't mine sodium bicarbonate from ancient nacalite deposits, the purest form available. Instead, they rely on chemically synthesized sodium bicarbonate produced through the same industrial Solvay process.
The result?
A product that meets minimum FDA standards for food-grade sodium bicarbonate but lacks the purity standards that health-conscious consumers expect when they see words like natural and pure on the label. Clabber Girl benefits from regulatory loopholes that allow industrial-grade sodium bicarbonate to be sold as food-grade as long as it meets basic chemical composition requirements. The FDA doesn't mandate heavy metal testing for baking soda. There's no requirement to disclose manufacturing methods. Companies can label chemically synthesized products as pure because technically, the sodium bicarbonate molecule is pure, even if the manufacturing process introduces contaminants. Consumers think they're buying a premium heritage brand with higher standards. They're buying industrial chemical byproducts packaged in nostalgic wrapping.
The scary part?
This same product is sold to restaurants, bakeries, and food manufacturers across the United States, institutions that feed millions of people daily. The familiar packaging masks the industrial reality inside that innocent-looking box. And just when you think you've heard the worst, the next brand takes the deception even further, using aggressive natural marketing while cutting more corners than Clabber Girl. Bob's Red Mill Baking Soda. Wait, Bob's Red Mill?
The health food brand?
The one with the friendly bearded man on the package promising natural, wholesome ingredients.
Yes. That one.
And this is where the investigation gets particularly disturbing. Bob's Red Mill built their reputation on being the alternative to industrial food processing. Their whole grain flours, their commitment to employee ownership, their "to your good health" slogan, all of it positions them as the trustworthy choice for families who care about what they eat. But here's what they don't advertise. Bob's Red Mill baking soda is not mined from natural mineral deposits. It's chemically produced through the same industrial Solvay process used by Arm & Hammer and every other major manufacturer. The deception is subtle but devastating. Bob's Red Mill packages their baking soda in a way that implies natural sourcing. They benefit from the halo effect of their other genuinely natural products. Consumers pay premium prices believing they're getting something better than the mainstream brands. But the ingredient is the same industrial sodium bicarbonate. The manufacturing process creates the same potential for heavy metal contamination. The only difference is the price tag and the packaging. Bob's Red Mill has even played into the aluminum-free marketing confusion. Labeling that suggests other brands contain aluminum while theirs doesn't. But here's the truth. Pure baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, never contains aluminum. The aluminum confusion comes from baking powder, not baking soda. By marketing aluminum-free baking soda, Bob's Red Mill is solving a problem that doesn't exist while charging you more for the same industrial product. This is marketing deception at its finest. Taking advantage of consumer confusion. Charging premium prices for standard industrial chemicals. Profiting from health-conscious families who think they're making a better choice. Parents buy this specifically because they want the best for their families. They read labels. They care about ingredients. And Bob's Red Mill exploits the care while delivering the same chemically synthesized product as the cheapest generic brand. If you thought the first two brands were concerning, Bob's Red Mill shows how far the natural food industry will go to cut corners, maintain profit margins, and sell industrial products as wholesome alternatives.
The next brand?
Even more industrialized, sold in nearly every dollar store and budget retailer across America, and a staple in households that can least afford to compromise on purity. Great Value Baking Soda, Walmart. Great Value.
Walmart store brand.
The cheapest option in the baking aisle, found in millions of American households, especially those shopping on tight budgets. The packaging is simple, pure baking soda.
Nothing fancy. No health claims.
Just a low price and the promise of the same product as the name brands. But that simplicity hides the harshest truth of all. Great Value Baking Soda represents the extreme of industrial food manufacturing. Sourced from the lowest cost chemical suppliers. Produced in facilities where food-grade and industrial-grade production lines blur together. Packaged with minimal quality control and zero transparency about sourcing or testing. Walmart's supply chain prioritizes cost above all else. Their Great Value Baking Soda comes from bulk chemical manufacturers who produce sodium bicarbonate for multiple industries: food, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, industrial cleaning. The same facilities.
The same equipment.
The same potential for cross-contamination. Independent testing of store-brand baking sodas has consistently shown higher levels of impurities compared to premium brands. When you're paying less than $1 for a pound of chemically synthesized product, corners are being cut somewhere, and those corners include purity testing, sourcing standards, and quality control.
The real tragedy?
Great Value Baking Soda is most likely to end up in households with limited budgets. Families trying to stretch their food dollars. Parents baking birthday cakes for their children. People using baking soda for home remedies because they can't afford expensive alternatives. These are the consumers who can least afford to be exposed to heavy metals and industrial contaminants. Yet they're the ones most likely to be using the lowest quality products. Great Value Baking Soda proves that in the American food system, purity is a luxury. The cheaper the product, the more corners get cut, the less transparency exists, and the greater the risk of contamination. Next, we'll cover a brand that pretends to be premium while sourcing from the same industrial suppliers as the budget brands. Kroger Baking Soda.
Kroger.
One of America's largest grocery chains. Their store-brand baking soda sits right next to Arm & Hammer in thousands of stores across the country. The packaging looks professional. The placement suggests quality. But Kroger Baking Soda follows the same pattern as every other major brand. Chemically synthesized, industrially produced, minimally tested. What makes Kroger particularly concerning is their marketing positioning. Unlike Great Value's honest cheapness, Kroger prices their baking soda closer to name brands, implying comparable quality. Consumers see the higher price point and assume they're getting something better than the dollar store alternatives.
They're not.
Kroger's supply chain for baking soda is opaque. They source from industrial chemical manufacturers, repackage the product, and sell it with the Kroger name, trading on their reputation as a major retailer while providing the same chemically synthesized sodium bicarbonate as every other brand. The company offers no transparency about sourcing, no third-party testing results, no commitment to heavy metal screening or purity standards beyond the minimum FDA requirements. Families shopping at Kroger, often middle-class households looking for value, pay a premium for the illusion of quality while receiving the same industrial product as the cheapest generic brand. This is the insidious nature of the baking soda industry. The complete lack of meaningful differentiation. The universal reliance on industrial chemical manufacturing. The marketing that pretends otherwise. And the next brand? A natural store brand that exploits health-conscious consumers just like Bob's Red Mill does. 365 Everyday Value Baking Soda, Whole Foods. 365 Everyday Value.
Whole Foods store brand.
The place where health-conscious consumers shop, believing they're getting products aligned with their values. Organic.
Natural. Better for you.
But 365 Everyday Value Baking Soda is the same chemically synthesized sodium bicarbonate as every other brand on this list. Whole Foods built their empire on being the alternative to conventional grocery stores. Their customers read labels. They care about sourcing. They pay premium prices specifically to avoid industrial food processing. And yet 365 everyday value baking soda comes from the same industrial chemical suppliers as Arm & Hammer, Great Value, and Kroger.
The Solvay process. Chemical synthesis. Potential heavy metal contamination.
Zero transparency about manufacturing methods. The betrayal is particularly sharp here. Whole Foods customers are specifically seeking to avoid the industrial food system. They're the most educated consumers, the ones who ask questions, who research ingredients, who believe that paying more at Whole Foods means getting something genuinely better. But baking soda is where that promise breaks down completely. There is no organic baking soda because sodium bicarbonate is a chemical compound, not an agricultural product. There is no natural sourcing from the 365 brand because they use the same industrial manufacturing as everyone else. Whole Foods knows this. They know their customers assume 365 products meet higher standards. They profit from that assumption while selling the exact same industrial chemical as Walmart. This is the brand that proves the baking soda industry has no exceptions. Even the healthy alternative is the same chemically synthesized product, just with better marketing and a higher price tag. Next, we'll cover a brand that specifically targets the organic and natural food market with particularly deceptive practices. Simply Organic Baking Soda.
Simply Organic.
The name says it all. Organic.
Pure. Simple.
Everything the health-conscious consumer is looking for. Their baking soda packaging emphasizes natural sourcing, purity, and organic certification. It's sold in natural food stores, co-ops, and the organic sections of major retailers. It commands premium prices. And it's completely misleading. Here's the truth that Simply Organic doesn't want you to know. There is no such thing as organic baking soda. Sodium bicarbonate is a chemical compound, NaHCO3.
It cannot be grown.
It cannot be certified organic. It is either mined from natural mineral deposits or chemically synthesized in industrial facilities. Simply Organic Baking Soda is chemically produced, just like every other brand on this list. The organic label is meaningless when applied to a mineral compound. Yet Simply Organic uses this labeling to charge premium prices to consumers who believe they're buying something genuinely different. This is regulatory arbitrage. Taking advantage of labeling loopholes. Exploiting consumer confusion about what organic means. Profiting from the trust that health-conscious families place in organic certification. The product itself? Industrial sodium bicarbonate, potentially with the same heavy metal contamination as the cheapest generic brand. The only difference is the price, which can be double or triple what you'd pay for Arm & Hammer. Parents buy this specifically for their children. They pay extra because they want the purest ingredients for their families. And Simply Organic takes that money while selling them the same chemically synthesized product as everyone else. This is perhaps the most cynical deception in the entire baking soda industry. Using organic certification, meaningless for mineral compounds, to sell industrial chemicals at luxury prices. And now we come to the worst offender of all. The brand that combines all the worst practices: industrial manufacturing, deceptive marketing, and widespread use in applications where purity matters most. Dr. Teal's Baking Soda, for personal care.
Dr. Teal's.
The brand synonymous with Epsom salt baths, relaxation, self-care, and wellness. Their baking soda is marketed specifically for personal care uses: bathing, foot soaks, exfoliation. And this is where the deception becomes dangerous. Dr. Teal's packages their baking soda with explicit instructions for personal use. Add to your bath. Use for skincare. Perfect for relaxation. They're selling this product for direct skin contact and absorption, the applications where purity matters most. But Dr. Teal's baking soda is standard industrial-grade sodium bicarbonate, chemically synthesized, potentially contaminated with heavy metals, produced in facilities that also manufacture industrial chemicals, with no special purification for personal care applications. The skin is the body's largest organ. It absorbs what you put on it. When you soak in a bath with contaminated baking soda, your skin absorbs those contaminants. Heavy metals, industrial residues, chemical impurities. Dr. Teal's knows their customers are using this product for wellness. They market it for relaxation, for detoxification, for health. Yet they provide no third-party testing for contaminants. No transparency about sourcing. No special purification processes for a product specifically intended for skin absorption. This is the extreme of the baking soda industry, selling potentially contaminated industrial chemicals for direct bodily absorption, marketed as a wellness product, with zero accountability for the purity standards that such applications demand. Parents use this for children's baths. People with skin conditions use it for relief. And they're soaking in industrial chemical residues that may contain lead, arsenic, and other contaminants. Dr. Teal's baking soda represents everything wrong with this industry. The complete disconnect between marketing and reality. The exploitation of consumer trust. The prioritization of profit over safety, especially for products used in ways that maximize exposure. Safe brands/solutions. We've just exposed 8 baking soda brands that share the same fundamental problem: industrial chemical manufacturing, potential heavy metal contamination, deceptive marketing, and a complete lack of transparency about purity. But there is good news. While the mainstream baking soda industry has abandoned natural sourcing in favor of cheap chemical synthesis, a few brands still prioritize genuine purity, transparent sourcing, and rigorous testing. Here are the 3 baking soda brands actually worth your money. Natural soda products. Arm & Hammer Natural Sourcing Line. Wait, Arm & Hammer again? Didn't we just put them on the avoid list? Yes. But Arm & Hammer also produces a separate line of naturally sourced baking soda that comes from ancient mineral deposits rather than chemical synthesis. This is the critical distinction that most consumers miss. Natural soda products. Arm & Hammer's mineral-derived line sources sodium bicarbonate from natural nacolite deposits, primarily from the extensive deposits in Colorado and Utah. These ancient mineral formations contain naturally occurring sodium bicarbonate that requires only minimal processing to extract and purify. The difference is profound. Naturally mined baking soda doesn't go through the Solvay process. It doesn't involve ammonia reactions or industrial chemical synthesis. It's extracted from the earth, purified through mechanical means, and packaged with far less potential for the heavy metal contamination that plagues chemically synthesized products. This naturally sourced baking soda contains fewer processing residues, lower levels of industrial contaminants, and a mineral composition that reflects millions of years of natural formation rather than hours of chemical manufacturing.
The challenge?
Arm & Hammer doesn't clearly distinguish their natural sourcing line from their chemically synthesized products on store shelves. You have to read labels carefully, look for sourcing information, and often purchase through specific channels to ensure you're getting the naturally mined product. But when you find it, you're getting genuine natural baking soda, the way this product existed before industrial chemical manufacturing took over the industry. For families who want real purity without paying artisanal prices, Arm & Hammer's naturally sourced line represents the best mainstream option. Bob's Red Mill Natural Sourcing, Specific Product Line. Yes, Bob's Red Mill appears twice in this video, once on the avoid list for their standard chemically synthesized baking soda, and now as a solution for their specific naturally sourced product. Bob's Red Mill does offer a separate line of baking soda sourced from natural mineral deposits rather than chemical synthesis. Like Arm & Hammer's natural line, this product comes from ancient nacolite formations and undergoes minimal processing. The key difference from their standard product?
No Solvay process.
No industrial chemical manufacturing. No ammonia byproducts or potential cross-contamination from industrial chemical production. When you buy Bob's Red Mill naturally sourced baking soda, you're getting a product that's closer to what baking soda was before the industry industrialized. A naturally occurring mineral compound extracted from the earth and minimally processed for consumer use. The company still charges premium prices, and their marketing remains somewhat deceptive given their standard product is chemically synthesized. But for consumers who specifically seek out their naturally sourced line, the purity is genuinely superior. This is the Bob's Red Mill product that lives up to your good health promise. The one that justifies their reputation for natural ingredients. The product that health-conscious families actually want when they reach for this brand. Always check the label for sourcing information. If it doesn't specify natural mineral deposits or nacolite sourcing, you're getting the chemically synthesized version, and you should avoid it. Redmond Real Salt Baking Soda. Redmond Real Salt. A company built on sourcing natural minerals from ancient deposits in Utah. Their baking soda represents the gold standard for purity in the American market. Redmond baking soda comes directly from the company's own mineral deposits, natural nacalite formations that have existed for millions of years. Unlike every brand on the avoid list, Redmond controls their entire supply chain from mine to package.
The result?
Baking soda with verified low levels of heavy metals. No industrial chemical manufacturing.
No solvay process.
No ammonia reactions or potential cross-contamination from industrial facilities producing multiple chemical products. Redmond publishes third-party testing results. They provide transparency about their sourcing. They specifically market their baking soda for the applications where purity matters most: cooking, personal care, health remedies. The price is higher than mainstream brands. Significantly higher. But you're paying for genuine purity, not marketing deception. For a product that actually meets the standards implied by every other brand's packaging. For families who use baking soda for homemade toothpaste, for health remedies, for cooking where purity matters, Redmond is the only brand that delivers what the others only promise. This is real baking soda. Naturally sourced.
Minimally processed.
Transparently tested. Worth every penny of the premium price. We've just gone through 8 baking soda brands sold in the US that you should avoid. From Arm & Hammer and Clabber Girl to Dr. Teal's, these products share the same secrets: industrial chemical manufacturing, potential heavy metal contamination, deceptive marketing, and a complete lack of transparency about what you're actually buying. Families reach for these products thinking they're getting pure, simple, natural ingredients. Parents use them for baking, for cleaning, for homemade health remedies, for children's personal care. They pay premium prices for natural brands that are selling the same chemically synthesized industrial product as the cheapest generic brand. And all of this is perfectly legal in the United States, thanks to regulations that prioritize chemical composition over manufacturing purity, that don't mandate heavy metal testing for food-grade minerals, and that allow companies to label industrial chemicals as pure and natural. But it's not all bad news.
There are safe options.
Brands like Redmond Real Salt, naturally sourced lines from Arm & Hammer and Bob's Red Mill prove that genuine purity is still possible. Natural mineral deposits.
Minimal processing.
Transparent testing. Products you can feel confident using for your family. Now it's up to you. Open your pantry.
Check your baking soda.
Look at the labels. Is it chemically synthesized or naturally sourced? Does the company provide transparency about testing and purity? Are you paying for genuine quality or marketing deception? If this video helped you uncover the truth behind what's in your baking soda, do 2 things right now. 1. Like this video to support more investigations like this. 2. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into what's really in the products you use every day. Your family deserves real purity, not industrial chemicals dressed up as household staples. Real transparency, not marketing lies. Real quality, not the cheapest chemical synthesis that meets minimum legal standards.
The choice is yours.
Make it wisely.